let's hop
Cool.
into how to manage your money, or if you have any money.
Yeah, right.
Because like for 80 and up percent people, we work paycheck to paycheck and don't have that extra funds to be like, I need to invest into something. I need to have myself set up for retirement up the line.
Yeah.
Oh, I would rather spend my money now on an expensive car, paying 800, let's just say, that's high, I know, 800 a month on like a expensive, awesome car, and then something happens, and you're like, I have to give it back, and you're upside down, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we got him to kind of explain.
For sure. Well, I mean, just so you guys are tracking, how do we make that jump? So one of the things that I do is I teach people how to protect themselves physically and financially. Right? So that's like my two things. So I got into financial services 2 years ago.
Nice.
Actually, I mean, I started utilizing it much earlier than that. So when we would go to like Iraq and Syria, we're civilians with, we don't have government backing. We don't have, a QRF, quick reaction force, with us or anything. So it's like, it's us. It's really us. So we would get kidnapped and hostage insurance, and then emergency evacuation, helicopter rescue.
Oh, that's a
support. Those are things. Yeah.
See, I don't know. I'm awesome. This is awesome.
They're not your common insurances that you get, but you can go to a company and hire them and say, I'm going to be in this part of the world for this amount of time. How do I keep you on standby to send a helicopter out to get me with a medical team if our team gets shot up? So we would get that type of insurance.
That's
sick. So I did a couple trips to Iraq like that, and came back home and was thinking, man, I need some better life insurance in case I don't come back from these trips that my wife is taking care of.
Yeah.
Right? That's a real thing. I'm like, well, if I die, that's 60% of our income. She's going to have to sell the house.
Yeah.
That sucks. I mean, talk about one of the worst things that can happen to a spouse.
Is your spouse dies.
Spouse dies, but then the next thing, you're going to lose the house too. So, so I called up my company, and I had a company in California, a kind of A-rated company, approved. And I told them, hey, I'm looking to get more life insurance. They asked me a couple questions, and they were like, yeah, no.
Really?
We're not going to insure you for any more. Not with the stuff that I was doing.
Oh, anymore because you're a liability.
Yeah. They're like, you're too high of a risk. So I was like, dang.
Yeah.
So the guy that we got those weird insurances from, was the son of the pastor that we were connected with.
Okay.
And so I knew him. So I called him up. I'm like, hey, Daniel, this just happened. Can you help me? And he was like, oh, yeah, let's sit down. So I sat down with him, my wife and I found out he did more than just insurance. He did financial advising.
Okay.
And he took care of us. That was 5 years ago.
Wow.
And so then 2 years ago, I was looking to earn more income, to get a second stream of income, right? Cost of living was going up. Things were getting crazy.
Yep.
I was in a very lucrative industry working in the nonprofit sector.
You say lucrative.
Not lucrative, that's a joke. I was doing what I was doing because I loved it. We got paid enough to make things work.
To live.
But it wasn't going to get my wife and I to where we wanted to be in the future. So I call up my buddy Daniel. I'm like, hey, I know you bring people in to teach them finances. Okay. Can I be one of those guys? So I jumped into that 2 years ago, right? Nice. So now I'm a broker with the team. I went full time 6 months ago. Just brought my wife on board. It's great. We get to work together now. Yeah. Really cool. I got her out of her job and brought her on our team.
Nice.
And so I mean, there's a lot of things you can think about when it comes to finances, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you can start from, hey, do you have debt? Okay, well then let's get rid of debt. So now there's good debt. And there's bad debt.
Yeah.
So like bad debt is like excessive car payments. Bad debt would be obviously credit cards. Kind of anything that's anything that's causing you to pay 7-8% or above is really bad interest. You're just paying a ton on it, right? Good debt kind of stuff would be like having a mortgage. Owning a home is a good type of debt. It gives you a bunch of different types of write-offs. So we don't really consider that bad debt to have.
Okay.
But yeah, so you kind of, when you're dealing with someone's finances, you kind of have to go in order. You got to start, okay, are you in debt? Do you have an emergency fund? When we're dealing with someone, like, we always make sure you need to do whatever you can to get $1,000 as an emergency fund. And then we'll get rid of your debt. All right? Because 100%, as soon as you start tackling debt, your tires need to be replaced.
Yeah.
Your water heater breaks. And if you don't have an emergency fund, what are you doing?
You're just up on the card. Yeah, because you're like, I don't have the money.
I don't have the money.
Out every day in and out.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah, you just had in and out, didn't you?
I just had it now. Yeah, I did.
Well, you're
Set me back like 3 days on my fitness goals,
yeah.
but it's okay.
Cool in and out. Thanks, but you're delicious.
Yeah. I think it's what is it? It's over, I think it's like 50% of people in the United States could not pay for a $1,000 emergency with their
It has to be
money.
over. It has to be over 50%.
It's
got to be. There's
so
no
much.
way.
So yeah, so emergency fund is important. Getting rid of debt, and then creating a established emergency fund.
Okay.
So we consider, like, if you're an employee, having 3 months, 3 to like 6 months of expenses. So like, if you lost your job today, would you be able to survive for like 3 months or 6 months? Now, a lot of people think that's a lot.
Yeah, but I'm sure it goes quick.
But now people don't think it's a lot now. I mean, when COVID hit and everybody was getting laid off of their jobs, they're like, oh wow, maybe I should have had some reserve. So yeah, so we really work on that, and then it's like, okay, well, what do you do after you kind of take care of those things? So when it comes to in looking at investments, things like that, sometimes like retirement.
Yeah.
Like we have to think about retirement. Right? We're all either going to go into retirement or we're going to die before we retire, right? One of those things is happening. Like, we're retiring and then dying, or we're going to die. I mean, there's statistically, the odds are that we're going to die at some point. Okay? It's a pretty strong statistic.
Just like 100%.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
So,
who do you know that's not dead yet?
There's 2 guys in the Bible, if you follow the Bible stuff, that didn't die. They just got taken up.
Okay. Okay, I'm saying here on Earth, in human form.
In the last couple thousand years. Everybody's dying. Right? And it's I forget who made the quote, but there's only 2 things that were guaranteed: death and taxes. Right?
Yeah.
Like, those are 2 things, yeah. And when you go into retirement, you potentially you're going to pay a lot of taxes in retirement. Potentially. So
Wait, what, your taxes on retirement? Is that a thing?
So there's some like government funded retirements.
I already paid them so much. It's like, okay, anyway, sorry. See, I'm still...
So there's 2 things that we really like to do. We work in from A to Z when it comes to finances, but I really like to specialize in 2 things. One, not losing people's money in a downed market.
Okay.
So not losing money. A guy named Warren Buffett.
Warren?
Yeah.
What?
Warren Buffett's got 2 rules for money, right? The first one is don't lose money.
Yeah.
Rule number 1. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. We're literally one of the wealthiest guys. Those are his rules. Don't lose money. Don't forget rule number 1. So we specialize in not losing money.
Okay.
So last year, Fidelity came out with a report that says Americans lost 23% of their retirement. So a quarter.
I could see that.
A quarter of their retirement, because of market loss, went out the window. Right? And so a lot of our clients, since we specialize in not losing money, they lost 0. So they didn't lose anything last year, which is great. So you want to be in a strategy That's not going to lose you money in a downed market, but it's going to grow you money in when the market's up.
Yeah.
And so we do that through different indexed accounts. And then, so the second thing we really like to do with people is to create a tax-free retirement, right? So two things. We don't like losing people's money. We don't lose people's money, and then we help them create tax-free retirement. Primarily, a lot of your traditional retirement things, like if you work for a great company, they probably offer you a 401k, right?
So
401k
that is
retirement.
a retirement.
Yep. So that is a retirement account that you pay into, and it's a tax-deferred account, which could be good, could be bad. So what tax-deferred means is, if say I make $70,000 a year, and I put 10,000 of my dollars into a 401k, when I do my taxes, the IRS is only going to tax me on 60,000 of my dollars because I put 10 away.
Okay.
So now that 10 is now going to grow. So, right, if I had taken the 10, I would have paid what, 30% tax on it, right? So I would have paid $3,000 in taxes to keep it. Now, if I put that 10K into a 401k, and let's say it grows to 100,000, I owe taxes on 100,000. So if I pull it out, I could pay 30,000, which is 10 times more than 3,000, right?
Yeah.
So it could be, there's ways where you can try to make sure that you don't pay that much tax, but you're going to pay taxes on all of the growth of your account. So that's a 401k, an IRA, things like that. They grow, your stocks grow tax deferred in the sense of, as it's growing, you eventually owe taxes on it. So there's a couple accounts that grow tax free. Like you pay, it works the opposite. You pay taxes on the money, then you invest it, and it grows tax free.
And then yeah.
So So you pay the taxes up front, and then you don't owe taxes on all the growth.
But on what though? Because if you pay taxes on something you're not sure how much it's about to grow, well, what do you pay taxes on?
Yeah. So I mean, if I want to invest $10,000, say, into a Roth IRA. Okay. So a Roth, it's an account that's post-tax money. It's money that's already been taxed. Okay. So if I want to put $10,000 into an account like that, I need to make $13,000, so that it gets, that's rough math, guys, rough math, right? I need to make whatever it is so that I end up with $10,000. So I need to make $13,000 to invest 10 because it gets taxed. Then it goes into that account, and then if it grows to $100,000,
that's not taxed.
I get $100,000, no tax. So there's really only two types of accounts that can do that. One's a Roth IRA, and the other one's cash that's accumulated in an insurance policy does that. Okay. So that's tax-free money as well. Okay. So that will grow, and that might sound weird, like a life insurance policy that grows money. Most people just think,
well, they don't know that
life insurance is just for if you die.
Happens.
Yeah. And that's true. It is for if you die. But there's a lot of people that utilize some specific whole life policies to fund the retirement. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Rockefellers.
No. Yeah, oil, right? Oil?
Yeah, they're all over. But they've been billionaires for 9 generations. Yeah. Which is something you don't see. And their wealth has gone up. And they utilize cash value life insurance because it's a good holding place. The other thing is, a lot of people who are investing money are overqualified for a Roth IRA. A lot of people don't know this. If you make more than $140,000, if you file singly, if you make $140,000 a year, you can't put money into a Roth IRA.
Is that because if you do, you'll make too much for them to fork out the money?
I don't even know why. Like, I don't understand why the government wouldn't want them to put money, but it's a rule. Like, if you make over a certain amount, like, you can't even use it.
Yeah.
The other thing with the Roth too is you can only put, they just raised it this year, you can put $6,500 into a Roth a year. That's it. That's your max.
This is a setup for the government. Right?
So if you start too late, you don't have a lot of time to grow your money.
Yeah.
But probably when it comes to like protecting your finances, yeah, you want to be indexed.
Okay.
So that you don't lose money when the market crashes.
So indexed meaning to invest into something that's not going to lose money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. There's a couple different types of indexed accounts, and you really would want to sit down with a financial professional to listen to them. Right? You could sit down with someone like me. I could totally help you with that. But yeah, you want to be indexed, and then you want to be making sure that you're getting compound interest. Mm-hmm. So compound interest is the most powerful concept to be able to grow your money in the market. It's just, right, if you're getting, when your money's in, say, if your money's in an account that gets you 4% a year, your money will double every 18 years, which is a long time. That's about what the S&P 500 is doing right now, maybe a little bit more. Okay. So it's not doubling very much. If you're getting 6% in an account, you'll get a double on your money every 12 years. So if you put $10,000 into an account that's getting 6% every year, it'll double in 12 years. And if you get 12% return every year, you'll double every 6 years. So that's getting a lot more doubles every year. So your money grows a lot faster in an account. So using compound interest to grow your money is the best way to do it. Okay. You just have to make sure that you're not going up and down with the flow of the market.
Yeah. Well, because if you go up and down, if you think about it, you're at zero.
A lot of times, yeah.
That's how I see it. I'm like, okay, you're here and here, and here's the middle. You're going. It's like that's practically it.
Yeah. So when it comes to protecting, and then a lot of people, like I helped so many people last year. I had tons of people calling me who weren't my clients yet, and they're like, Jeff, I just lost $50,000 out of my 401k. What do I do? Jeff, I just lost 30 grand out of my IRA. Can you help me? Like a bunch of people. Well, because it's in, the market went down almost 20% last year. So
it's all on stocks. Is how the
IRA,
the IRA and all that kind of stuff.
The IRA's in stocks. It's in the S&P 500. There's some different things it can be in, but primarily, if the stock market is down, your account is going to be down. Sometimes it can be down a little. Sometimes it can be down a lot. It depends on like where your risk level is. Some people can be like, way conservative, and then they only gain a little, but then they only lose a little. Other people want to be like, I want to gain a lot, so they can gain a lot, but then they can lose a lot. So it's a gamble, right? And so, kind of play. You have to know the kind of realm that you're playing. So a lot of those guys were calling me because they saw me posting some stuff on social media saying, hey, do you want to stop losing money in the market? Like that's a real thing. So I helped 4 or 5 people just in the last few months kind of roll their 401k over into an account that will stop losing money and it still grows really good. So
that's smart because I would say at work, they don't have to tell you these things or don't know about these things, so they can't tell you. It's like, hey, you're going to work hard, you're going to get OT in, and you're going to make money, and you're like, oh, taxes, I just paid $300 in taxes. How does this work?
Yeah.
And, I'm just now seeing how the things work because, for me, I was that person just to work, show up, go home, get paid each week, and you're like, oh, cool, this is my life. And then, of course, have certain things, sports in there, and be like, oh, this is nice, and not seeing where it leads. And I was exposed to that, and I'm like, oh, you're still here. You've been here like your whole life. And you can't retire because you did not invest in anything, and so for where I work. You're only getting paid $1,800 a month after you retire, and I'm like, my rent's $1,800 a month, and
You're like, who can live off 1,800?
I can't. It's so hard.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of people like, oh yeah, my job's awesome. Yeah, it is. I'm sure it is. You show up, you do a certain task. Okay, well, what happens if you don't show up and you're sick and you're out of sick time and your mom or whoever is in the hospital and you want to take that time off at work? You can't, but you kind of have to. Like, mom, hey, or whoever, they're about to go, and you're like, oh, I have to come back home, and I didn't work, so you're not getting paid. So it's a whole kind of thing. I had to kind of sit back and be like, and I've heard all of this gets harder as you age. So I was like, the knees, and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, so I'm trying to help whoever out there to kind of look towards your end date, because we all have an end date, and at the same time, it's not really about us. It's about what you leave. Like, if you have a spouse, or if you have nieces and nephews, if you have any kids, it's like, here's to help out. Because it's not always awesome to kind of start always at the bottom.
Right.
It's like, here's a house. It's like, oh no, I have to first in my car with friends, an apartment, and a condo. Which it's the same kind of thing. It's like a half of a house, like an apartment. It's the same thing as a condo. I know. Like, people, oh, you have a condo. Hey, if you do, and you do an Airbnb and all, awesome. But I won't hop into that one, because it'll be a lot more. And
but you had mentioned it. You mentioned it earlier too, right? He said if he doesn't show up for work, he's not getting paid. Right. And a guy named Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, great book.
It's awesome.
Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, right? So 85% of people are employees. They live paycheck to paycheck. They have no control over their schedule, right? He's got to send in an email. You got to send in an email and say, hey, can I take my vacation day, right? My vacation day.
Like weeks in advance.
Or
months.
And they could say no, or they could say yes, right? You got to ask those things, right? And so the whole idea, too, is one, you don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of you might be listening to this going, well, what do? I'm in debt. I don't make a lot. And I'm in debt. And like, I don't have two pennies to rub together to try to create an investment. Right? Like, you're just kind of in this place that's stuck. And so we always tell people, like, hey, there comes a time when you can only shave your life down so much. You can only get rid of so many things before it's like, I'm living as lean as I can. At some point, you have to realize, I just need to make more money. Like, at some point, we all just need to make more money, especially now with inflation, cost of eggs. I mean, I need a raise just to keep buying eggs, gas. So, looking at Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, right? Employees, 10%.
ESBI.
10% of people are self-employed. They own their own job, but they have no leverage. If they're sick and they don't work, they don't get paid. Then you've got the business owner. That's like 3% of people. They employ people to do the work. Maybe they start out, right? If I own a bagel shop, I got to start out making bagels and doing it. But then hopefully I'm going to break out and go, okay, you guys are going to run. I teach them, they run it. Now I can be looking at other ways to increase my cash flow and make better decisions. And then you get to that investor stage, right? And so if you're looking for a second stream of income, you want it to be flexible, part-time, because you still got to do your main job, right? Like you still got to work 9 to 5. Like I was working my 9 to 5, and then I jumped on board with the finance firm, which was nice. I could pick up finance and put it down as I needed to, because I don't have a boss. I don't have someone telling me when I need to come in and do stuff.
Yeah.
It's very self-paced. So you want it to be flexible, part-time, lucrative. I mean, that's important, right? You want it to actually make you money.
Yeah.
Selling things that only cost $5 or $6 or $10 doesn't get you very far very fast, right? Like how many I gotta sell 50, 100, 1,000 of these things to actually make money. That can be difficult. That sounds more time consuming, and then it's got to be scalable.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to move from it just being you doing the work to getting other people to help with the work, but you still getting paid with that. So
like a team.
You gotta have a team. Yeah.
But you do, like with that, I've heard it all the time. You have like, you've probably heard it. You got a person at the top, and you have all the people who work for you, and
right.
It's like a scam, like a
right.
thing. So like with that, I can see that. You have it at your job. You have a boss that makes all the money. You know, I see that, but I just don't think a lot of people see how it's. If you help somebody, yes, you get paid a bit, but what they get from it, it's just huge. And you know, of course, you do have some people like, oh, you get him signed up, you make money off of this guy. He pays you, pays, and they just have to keep on getting people. I see how that works, but also it's illegal to do that.
Right.
But for certain who you're with, I've actually met some people,
Cool, yeah.
and you know, all that kind of stuff like that. I'm like, so if it's illegal, then why are they still around? If they actually do their taxes run by the government,
right?
You know, I'm just so confused about how people don't know, and it's like, oh, I want to shoot a gun. They go out and buy it, and like, oh, it's too powerful. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you're not taught. You're not taught about how things work. And I'm like, how does this make sense?
Yeah.
But back to where.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of companies out there, and even your corporate I mean, it's called a corporate ladder.
Yeah.
Right.
For a reason.
Everyone's out there doing corporate stuff. It's a ladder, and you're climbing. You're climbing a pyramid.
Yeah.
You know, every business is a pyramid.
Yeah.
There's a president. He's at the top.
But don't talk about the government like that.
Yeah. He's the president. He's the CEO of the company, right?
Yeah. Of your
He's
nation.
at the top. He gets paid the most. Then he's got his guys below him. They get paid next. Right? Then they have guys below them. There are a lot of companies that'll do it in a bad way.
Yeah.
A lot of companies structure it kind of on my field. A lot of companies, you get paid for recruiting.
Yeah.
And so you have a different incentive for like, oh, if I bring you in, I'm actually getting money from you coming in.
From what? Yeah. Which
And,
is illegal. Isn't that illegal?
No, I don't know. I know there's some aspects of it, but no, it's not illegal in that aspect. Like, so say I'm selling cookies. Okay, it's Girl Scout season, so I'll say
easy on them.
Say I'm selling cookies.
Okay.
And I'm like, Jay, do you want to come sell cookies with me? And Jay's like, sounds great. Yeah. I'm in. He's like, I know a lot of hungry people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Jay, I've got 2 packages. You can do the first package, which gets you, it's $1,000, and you get this many boxes of cookies to sell. Or my second package is $2,500. Mm-hmm. All right. And so in the meantime, I've got my friends and family that I'm selling cookies to, but I'm making $5 a box selling individuals. If I get Jay to come on board, you're buying $1,000 worth of cookies from me. I'm making a ton of money from that.
Okay.
And then it's like, now you've got your inventory. Now you can go sell.
Yeah.
And now it's like, and I don't care if you go and sell your cookies or not. I got paid, right?
Okay.
And I got paid a lot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I think that's a bad way of doing that business. Because now I've got no commitment to Jay to like help you sell cookies, like make you successful.
Yeah.
In our business, which you have to have a license to do our business, like it's, I mean, you've got to be licensed. You got to get a background check. You got to qualify.
So it's not illegal. It's you have to have your name on the paper.
It's just like being a real estate agent. You got to do study. You got to do a test. Doesn't take it's a whole lot faster than real estate.
Okay.
Like real estate is 2 to 5 months, maybe $2 to $5 grand.
Okay.
Ours is like 2 weeks, but it's a state license.
Okay.
Like you're registered, but like we don't, like when I bring someone on my team, like I don't get anything for bringing them on my team. I'm actually giving them something. I'm actually paying with my time to train them. Now, if I'm able to make them successful and continue to make them successful, they will begin to earn an income, right? And I do get compensated, which doesn't come from theirs.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. Like I'm not taking money that they could have earned.
Yeah.
They're all getting paid X amount depending upon what level they're at.
Yeah.
They're going to get paid that. I'm just helping them be successful, and then everybody gets a commission. Kind of similar to like a real estate brokerage team, but there are some differences. But everybody kind of knows real estate a little bit more. Like I think I knew half a dozen or a dozen real estate agents, and I know like one finance guy. So finance people, you tend to know a little less about finance because they just don't know people in it. But so you got to be careful about which companies that you kind of work for, because some are really. Sketchy. But I mean, find me a company that's not recruiting people. Yeah. And you'll find a company that's dying. Like everybody is recruiting. Even the companies that are all laying off people, they're still recruiting people. Amazon just lays off 18,000 people. They're still recruiting people. Salesforce laid off 8,000 people. They're still recruiting.
Yeah.
Google laid off 12,000 people. They're still recruiting. Like everybody recruits for a reason. To get into it, but creating that second stream of income, or it can even be like a spare. Some people call it a spare tire.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, what happens if I lose my 9 to 5? Oh gosh, well I'm glad I've got this that I started.
Okay.
And now I've got something to fall back on.
Yeah.
Till I can find something else. But yeah, creating that second stream of income is really good to protect yourself, earn more. Obviously, if you're not making enough now to really go create a retirement or invest, you just have to make more. And probably the best way to save taxes is to be a business owner.
Yeah.
And that can be a home-based business, but you get a bunch of write-offs. You know, I'm on a 2-week work vacation that is a tax-free vacation because everything I'm doing is business related.
Yeah.
So it's everything that I'm doing is a write-off. I still got to pay for it. But when I go to do taxes, I get to subtract all my costs for the trip, and I won't get taxed on it. So you'll save taxes just by owning your own business, which is a very smart thing to do. Home-based business, right? Yeah. This Jay can ride off this little area. He could be renting this to his business, right? He could be taking
for YouTube,
right? He could be taking it out of the percentage of his rent.
Oh, see, I didn't see. What's up?
Yeah. Your home workspace.
Yeah, because
is a tax write-off.
With that, I can put this under like I own a business or I shouldn't acquire a business under LLC.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of doing.
Yeah.
Because like you have people who know certain things that can help out whoever, but aren't sure what steps to take. And I'm like, you need, so like like I would say if you're gonna open up a school to go like to go shoot, you gotta have land and like rules and law about that. You like a mile away from whoever, I'll say ish on that.
Right. Yeah.
But then you have to put that through like an LLC, like the land and the house, and if you get guns and ammo, is that like a write-off?
That's a write-off
well?
too. It's a business expense.
Yeah. But then you have to kind of. I was told, as you do that, you have to kind of like in 2 years you have to kind of you got to show that you made something, right?
Yeah. There's a certain amount. I think every state is different, and then there's a certain amount of years where you can not show a profit.
Okay.
Or they start to consider it like, okay, you're not really running a business. You're just saying you're running a business. Okay. So there is some strategies. So you do have to look at some things, but when an easy way to think about it though is a regular person makes a paycheck, pays taxes, spends money. Business owner gets money, spends money, pays taxes on what's left over.
Okay.
Right? So if you make $30,000, pay taxes on $30,000, use the rest. Business owner has $30,000, spends $20,000, only gets taxed on $10,000.
So mainly, if you do that, you could just go and spend it on whatever. And then
pertaining to the business.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because I know people who have like expensive like stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's for my business. I'm like, you have a Lambo. Yeah. And I'm like, which is smart. Like you get, it's awesome. Like, oh, you're in a Lambo, and it's just it's sick. And then I'm like, how does that work? But then again, you have to know people who know what's up, or if I'm like, hey Jeff, is there something, or I need help with this something, you know people that have been around it for X amount of years and can be like, hey, hold on, I'm not sure on that. Let me call up whoever, and we'll have this set up. So if you if you got anything you want to start up, or if you're trying to start a business, or you just have like certain questions or anything, or if you want to talk how to put that, all that kind of stuff, or shoot guns, all this kind of stuff, you get all in one right here. So with that, we're gonna end it up. Thank you so much. Cool. I will put your. What? So you?
I've got
Instagram.
I've got an Instagram and a Facebook. I'm pretty active on those. So you'll see many posts. Yeah, Instagram's good, or Facebook. Yeah, I'd love to be able to connect with people. Okay. Hit me up. Let me know. If you do sign on, let me know. Hey, I saw you on Jay's podcast. That'll be great to be able to tell him.
Finally. No, I'm not kidding. Right? No.
Awesome. Yeah.
So with that,
I appreciate that. Thanks so much for having me on here, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Really appreciate it.
But with that, we're gonna end it. Thank you so much for being on.
Good.
It's awesome. And I hope everybody out there, I would say, you learned something. Hopefully. Yeah, it has to be. I'm sitting here, notes. I'm taking notes. I'm actually gonna watch this again a couple times. But I hope everybody out there has a great day or night wherever you are, and
take it easy. Yeah, have a good one.